the exception of some of these over actually on the Caribbean side, it still do have some last minute space because people just don't really think about this when it comes to Costa Rica. Go to the next one. Is that the one of Boena?
Yeah.
So we're going to be focusing on 3 lodges. Attorney's going to be talking about 3 lodges today. Again, we're talking about Pacuare Lodge, which most people know. And I just want to point this out ahead of time is that, so Pacuare Lodge, everybody knows Pacuare Lodge, only like a luxury treehouse raft in, raft out property, part of Virtuoso. So kind of pre-pandemic and during the pandemic, the Pacuare group ended up kind of acquiring other properties in Costa Rica. They bought Lapa Rios Lodge, which we talked about yesterday, which used to be managed by Cayuga. Now it's run by the Pacuare group. The Pacuare group has rebranded to this name Boena Wilderness Lodges. So most people, it might be the first time you heard about that, but Boena is essentially the Pacuare group. So they acquired Lapa Rios, which they own and operate now, and then they acquired Tortuga Lodge in Tortuguero National Park, which we're going to travel to. This is really cool because thinking about the history of Costa Rica, it was a lot of kind of American expats who were the people who built the first eco lodges, like Karen and her husband's name that did Lapa Rios. I mean, that was in the early 90s, and it really put Costa Rica on the map as an ecotourism destination. They ended up acquiring Tortuga Lodge, which is cool. That was actually run by Michael Kay of Costa Rica Expeditions, like one of the original OG American expats in Costa Rica. And Tortuguero National Park, as you're going to hear from Turney, is just a mind-blowing like wilderness wildlife destination, which most people don't know about. It has been firmly on the map of like really adventurous travelers going there, but there hasn't been anything upscale, on a kind of a luxury standard in Tortuguero. Tortuguero is an intense place. I mean, just getting there, the heat and humidity, the wildlife. So this is the first like comfortable lodge run by the Pacuare or Boena group in Tortuguero National Park. And then we're going to combine this with one of the other Cayuga properties, Hotel Aguas Claras in Puerto Viejo. So this is all 3 of these you can combine together or, do like mini itineraries, which we're going to talk through. So with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Turney to kind of start us on this journey. And if you have any questions during it, I'm going to be monitoring the little chat room. So go ahead and just any questions you have, throw them in the chat during this. So I'm going to shut up and turn my mic off, and Turney, take it away, brother.
Thank you for the introduction, Clark. Very well said. And yeah, today I'll basically take you on a journey through 3 different itineraries and show you how they all connect with each other well. Like Clark said, the Caribbean side of Costa Rica is much different than, what Costa Rica is usually portrayed as. But in my opinion, it is the true Costa Rica. I mean, you really get to see the wildlife and experience all the wonderful adventures that this portion of the country has to offer. So today we'll start with Pacuare Lodge and then move towards Tortuga Lodge. It's a really good 8-day, 7-night itinerary. First night being in San Jose, and I'll explain why first. Okay, so let's start the journey to Pacuare Lodge. So you need to actually stay the first night in San Jose because you don't want to miss out on the drive to Pacuare Lodge. And there's 2 different ways to get there. You drive all the way to the property and then take a little sky tram over the river to the property. This is an option for people with children who want to visit Pacuare Lodge because only people ages 12 and up are able to raft due to safety concerns. But that being said, any children from the age of 7 to 11 are still welcome at Pacuare Lodge to enjoy all the other activities. So as I mentioned, first night in San Jose, it's best to stay probably in Hotel Grande de Oro or Marriott or a few other places nearby the big soccer stadium. And then at 6 a.m. you're picked up. They give you a little to-go water, coffee, banana, snack. And so 2 hours later, you arrive at Cafe Viñas. So let me show you kind of the route. This is really unique because, a lot of the hotels people visit in Costa Rica are located on the outer rim of the Pacific and the Caribbean. So this gives you a chance to go through, the middle of the country. And it's really a nice journey. It's a nice drive. You get to see the former capital of Costa Rica and then arrive at Cafe Viñas. This is our friend Guillermo, who owns Cafe Viñas, and he has all of the coffee he grows laid out, and drying in the sun, and then you actually grind it yourself and he makes a fresh cup in front of you. So to me, that's a really nice introduction to Costa Rica. And of course, arriving, there's another story. So as I mentioned, if you're whitewater rafting, you come over near Tres Eques, and then you enter about 1 hour before, or it's a 1 hour raft from here to Pacuare Lodge. And you're looking at like 1 to 2 class rapids, maybe 3, typically not. And it's a very nice and calming ride. Or you continue all the way to the property. So here's a few pictures of whitewater rafting. The guides, they've been doing this their whole lives. It's what they live for. I'm sure they're actually doing it right now as we speak. And here's the shore of Pacuare Lodge, where you roll up on the whitewater raft. Here's the property. You can see the river bend, so you can raft out. And of course, I have to show the drive because it's still an experience in itself. And here's what I was talking about. Arriving by land, you go across the tram and arrive to the property. So once you get to the property, here's a reception hall. And these, I had to show this golf cart because they're really unique, they're fun. And the property is pretty scattered out, so you can call the reception hall at any time and they'll pick you up if you're not feeling the walk. So here's the restaurant, newly renovated, right along the riverbanks. So when you're eating lunch or breakfast, you see people whitewater rafting across, and it's just a really fun deal. Same here with the infinity pool, goes all the way out to the edge. You can see people whitewater rafting, but it's easy to get a pina colada and sit here all day. But Pacuare Lodge, that's not the spot. There's so much activities and things to enjoy. So let's continue. Here's a restaurant. I like to show this because they have really unique wine collections now. They only get wine from South America to keep their carbon footprint as low as possible. They don't want wine shipping overseas. And that goes for the food too. They get their food farm to table and actually have a local organic farm that they work with. And part of the conservation fee that you pay goes towards that. So above, here's a little cocktail area. You can hang out. This is a candlelit dinner fireplace. It's extra, but if you're a Virtuoso agent, your clients get this as a Virtuoso amenity. So that's very nice. And here's the reception hall again, open 24/7, the trails to the rooms. If you don't want to walk, and let's get into the actual accommodations. So this is the garden view room. And it's basically around the pool. Not all of them have a river view, but they're at the lower level, so the most easily accessible. And then here's the river view suites. They're a little bit bigger than the garden view rooms. And they actually have a balcony looking out toward the river. You can see it's a little bit bigger. And they have a hammock and a deck at each of those. So the Linda Villa Vista, these are the biggest of the 3 that I've shown you. You can see they have a living room. So perhaps you have clients who are adults and you have a kid, they can stay in this room. So it's a good option for travelers with kids. And then this is the cream of the crop. This is one of my favorite hotel rooms in all of Costa Rica. It's the Canopy Villa, wonderful for a honeymoon. It's at the top of the property, so you can see the pool, the river. You have your own hanging bridge to a treetop canopy where you can enjoy breakfast. You can have a cocktail, whatever you like. Outdoor bathtub, plunge pool, really amazing for honeymoons. I wouldn't recommend children here. This is for sure a place for couples to relax and really enjoy the amenity. So Jaguar Villa, this is oh yeah, and sorry, there's only one Canopy Villa and there's only one Jaguar Villa. So very similar to the Canopy, but your canopy is still in tree, but overlooking the river. And the plunge pool is a little bit bigger. So a little more space, just amazing, breathtaking. So let's get into some of the adventures. There's 8 different adventures included with Pacuare. So this is the canyoning adventure, and it's suitable for all ages, very fun. Zip lining, the guides are amazing with children and families. They're just so much fun. They don't take it too seriously, but they're very professional. So they keep everyone laughing and keep everyone safe. This you can't miss out on. It's basically a skateboard across cables through the jungle. And of course, they have a wonderful waterfall on the property that you can hike to. And night hiking here is spectacular as well. Here's one of my favorite animals, the green treetop frog. Don't quote me on that. And another great thing about Pacuare is they work with the local Quebeca tribe. So a few of the experiences they have, you can do a basically art class, wood making class with one of the people who is part of the tribe, and you can share breakfast with them as well, or lunch. So they like to incorporate meeting different cultures and really helping give back to the community at Boena. So you'll see that a theme with all the properties. And of course, the most awesome aspect of Pacuare Lodge, in my opinion, is whitewater rafting out of here. It's a little bit different than rafting in. It's a 3-hour journey. They include lunch at the end, which is very fun on the riverbank. You can actually catch fish with the guides and just hang out. It's a really authentic experience. But this is probably this last stretch and other parts of the river as well is what makes Pacuare Lodge or Pacuare River one of the top 5 rivers in the entire world to whitewater raft. So it's not only a destination just because Pacuare Lodge is amazing, but because Pacuare River is known across the world, and Pacuare Lodge gives people the access to be able to visit. So, and I like to recommend, if the traveler is able to, always whitewater raft in and out. It makes the experience amazing, but driving in and driving out, that's still an option as well. And so part of the itinerary, once you leave Pacuare Lodge, we have the travelers going to Tortuga Lodge. And the reason we set up like this is because it works logistically well. As you can see, this is the river stretch that you go along, and you end here in Siquirres. Well, from Siquirres, you can either go back to San Jose, you can go towards Puerto Viejo, or you can go up to La Pavona Dock. And La Pavona Dock is where you arrive to visit Tortuga Lodge. So as you can see, once you get out of the river, and they don't just let you off the river into the road. You get off the river, they have a whole area where you can change clothes. Your private transfer is waiting for you. You can buy cold beer, snacks, or Coca-Cola, whatever you need, and continue from there. So of course, they'll have your baggage and everything. It's a really nice transition to be able to finish rafting one of the best rivers in the world for the day, and then continue to one of the most unique regions of Costa Rica. So as you can tell, it's about a 2-hour drive. You go to La Pavona Dock, and then you make the journey to Tortuga Lodge. So Tortuga Lodge, another Boena Wilderness Lodge. And here's a map so you can kind of see where we're going. As I mentioned, there's really no other way to get to Pacuare Lodge other than if you want to fly to Siquirres, but it's worth the drive to be able to go through the center of the country and really get to see the mountains and the volcanoes and the green, lush, beautiful land. If you need to, you can fly back to San Jose from Siquirres, but what's amazing is Tortuga Lodge is in Tortuguero National Park. And as I mentioned, you can boat there, but you can also fly back from Tortuga, which is what we have at the end of this itinerary. The strip is right across from the hotel. So part of Boena, part of Tortuga Lodge is a conservation fee. It's $10 per person, but that $10 goes a long way. This is the Escuela de Música Caribeña Tortuguero. Don't try to say that 10 times fast. Anyways, they will come perform at certain dates when people are eating lunch or dinner and share their sounds of the Caribbean. So it might be a very swampy and not extreme, but different terrain. there's no cars, and it really still has a Caribbean vibe. So here's an overview of Tortuga Lodge. You can see this is where you come in by river, you wrap around this landmass and arrive here, and the ocean. You can't relax on the beach there. Boats can't even pull up. The current is very strong. So it's not a beach destination, but as I continue, you'll see the other options of adventuring here. So again, La Pavona Dock, Tortuga Lodge. And if you can look very closely, you go through this winding creek all the way to the river and then make your way around. And here are the type of boats they offer. So by air, this is the landing strip literally right across from the lodge. So if you have a flight, you go right across, hop on, or if they land, get off and come right across. They're operated every day by Sansa Airlines out of Costa Rica, and they're daily flights. So it's a good thing to know. Here is a little overview of the property, the pool, the restaurant, and some of the suites. The staff, they greet you as you roll up. This is really lovely, makes you feel right at home. And once you step off the property, you might see aracaris in the tree, a certain type of toucan, iguanas, all sorts of animals. And the pool is family friendly, really fun just to relax and hang out here. They're always playing fun music and have great cocktails. And the sunsets are phenomenal. This place brings out lots of colors, as you can see. Here's some of the dining area. So very peaceful. You know, it's a wild place, a lot of animals to see, but Tortuga Lodge, it's the basically gateway to Tortuguero National Park. And I say that because before Tortuga Lodge was purchased by Boena and began operating back in 2019, I believe, there really wasn't a whole lot of options for people to visit Tortuguero National Park, especially luxury hotels with good food and comfortable accommodations. Tortuga Lodge really has opened the door, the gateway for people to come enjoy Tortuga responsibly and understand the wildlife and the culture. So it's important to understand that while you're watching this, that this is a very, not rare, but unknown region to many before Tortuga Lodge began operating. And that's what makes it so special. So family friendly, you'll see a bunch of iguanas on the property. One of the guides sent us this the other day. It's on property as a sloth and his baby. Doesn't get much cuter than that. So of course we have to go into the lodges, and let me dive into that. Here's a little overview. And this is the Miss Florentine Villa. Great option. It's kind of secluded from the other part of the property. You have your own plunge pool. There's one bedroom, but another living room that can be closed off, so they can add a bed or turn this into a bed for children. It's a great spot for families. And then the suites, there's 3 buildings currently with air conditioning. There's also a few on the other side of the restaurant, but they don't have air conditioning yet. They will soon, and we'll make sure to announce that. But for now, these are the ones with air conditioning. There's 12, so there's 12 rooms total between these 3 buildings right here. There's one kind of in here that you can't really see, but the top floor, they're the Miss Evelyn balcony suite, beautifully refurnished, and there's a day bed out here, day bed on the balcony overlooking the river. Here's the entrance, beautiful colors, really has a Caribbean vibe. And then the Mr. Meshock downstairs suite. Same as the upstairs suite, but the balcony is at floor level, so you might have some iguanas and fun animals at your doorstep in the morning. And here's photos of the wildlife, have to show it. And the main attraction of Tortuga Lodge is, of course, the Tortuguero National Park. And a little bit of history about this place. Back in 1963, it became a sanctuary for turtle nesting. There was a huge issue with turtle hunting. Unfortunately, people can't arrive via boat to the beach, so they had to come up with another method. They would turn the turtles upside down and basically put buoys to them. So once they're washed out, they can go and grab them. And unfortunately, it was a horrible history. But in 1970, it became a national park thanks to the Caribbean Conservation Corporation and a biologist named Archie Carr. And ecotourism has really changed this place and allowed it to flourish with wildlife. Logging was also a big issue, and it is 47,000 acres of protected area now. So taking you through that 47,000 acres looks something like this. Kayaking is a great option. They have certain areas where they'll take you kayaking. And this is a must when you're visiting Tortuga Lodge, to go on an early morning boat tour. That's when the animals are the best at sunrise. You'll see the most. There's caimans hidden. And what's funny about Tortuguero National Park is a lot of these animals you wouldn't ever see on your own. The guides know exactly where they are and no calls to bring them out. It's really impressive. All the guides are from Tortuguero, so they know it like the back of their hand. Here's some more of the animals. Massive iguanas in tree. This is our friend the mayor. Giant river otters, flat-billed birds, and toucans are some of the animals you'll see frequently. And don't get scared, but there are crocodiles, massive ones. Never seen any at the property, but inside the national park you might see some. And then night walks are very great. You can find little snakes in trees and all sorts of things. But as I mentioned, it was originally created as a turtle sanctuary. So it's one of the best places in the world to see turtle hatchings because of the efforts they do with conservation. And the best time to see them is about 6 p.m. So a guide will take you over there and have a flashlight so you can go see turtles nesting or hatching. Usually turtle nesting is a little bit earlier in the season. I think it's like July to August, and September is the best time to see it. And then September to December is really good for hatchlings. So other than that, there's a hill at Cerro Tortuguero where you can hike up, and you'll see monkeys along the way. It's a really interesting place to visit because you get an overview of Tortuguero National Park. And as you see, no roads, only boats, and the town is basically across from Tortuga Lodge, and it's really interesting to see. There's a lot of artwork and things to do. So that's part two of the itinerary, which is
Attorney, I just wanted to put in a little summary. I mean, I think one thing, as you've seen, just the wildlife of Tortuguero and getting there, like the best way I've heard it ever described by people is say that Tortuguero is basically like the Amazon of Central America. There's no roads here. It's all rivers that are flowing out of the jungle into the Caribbean, just tons of crazy wildlife. So like, this is ideal for the type of travelers, people that are like interested in going to the Amazon or interested in going to like the Pantanal. This is another like biodiversity hotspot to see wildlife, and being so much closer than flying down to South America, it's a great option. So yeah, just super, super cool area. Super adventure. Probably the only other place in Costa Rica I'd say that has this level of biodiversity would be like the Osa Peninsula on the Pacific coast, like where Lapa Rios Lodge is, one of the other Boena lodges. But this is way more remote and off the beaten path, and kind of, I would say, like primal and raw than going out to the Osa. So
yeah, and definitely it's comparable to the Osa, but you'll see different species here that you won't see in the Osa because it's mainly wetlands. And
you went fishing there too, right? The tarpon fishing.
Yeah, I meant to add that to the presentation. I just want to mention it. If you have travelers that are interested in fishing, this is one of the best places actually in the world to catch tarpon and snook. They have a guy named Primo who's lived in Tortuguero his whole life. He has a really awesome boat, 3 people max. So it is this father-son type excursion, but he'll pick you up at the property in the morning. They pack you with a lunch, beers, Coca-Cola, whatever you want. And it takes about an hour boat ride, but you go to Colorado, not Colorado in the United States, obviously, but very close to the Nicaraguan border.
But yeah, to the Honduran or Nicaraguan, the Nicaraguan border.
Nicaraguan, yeah.
So
And so, yeah, in the same day, you can see two of the most prehistoric animals in the entire world, the crocodile, and you can catch a tarpon, which is a very ancient species. So that's very good to keep in mind.
Cool, right on. Let's go chill on the beach now.
Yeah. So after you've had this wild nature experience, it's a good option to continue to Hotel Aguas Claras. And I'm going to just show you this itinerary first because really this is a two-split itinerary. Pacuare Lodge, as I mentioned, is really always best to visit once you arrive in Costa Rica. Likely you have to arrive in San Jose, stay the night, experience Pacuare Lodge. But depending on the type of traveler, if they aren't into wildlife and seeing a really unique part of the country, maybe they just want to go chill and lay on the beach, that's fine. Here's another option. They can continue to Aguas Claras. And I'll show you a map towards the end, but you saw the one in the beginning. Basically, take a right on the highway instead of a left once you get to Siquires. So you can see Siquires over here. You take Highway 32 all the way down. It's about a 2.5-hour drive, no boat ride. So pretty easy to get to from Pacuare, and then you can catch sunset by the end of the day. And then if you're coming from San Jose to Limon Airport, it's only a 1-hour drive. And driving from San Jose takes about 4.5 hours. So if you're willing for a road trip, that's fine, but San Jose to Limon flight's better. Anyways, let's go into the property. It's owned by a mother and daughter. They have been living in Costa Rica their whole life. They loved Puerto Viejo, and they wanted to portray their love for the region. And that's why you see the hotel is very colorful. It's very appealing to the eye wherever you go. They did a really good job of incorporating artwork and beautifying this whole property. So this is the restaurant Papaya. It pretty much speaks for itself. And what's amazing about Aguas Claras is it's totally a jungle beach. So the beach is amazing, but you're in the jungle. So you see sloths, monkeys, all types of birds. I actually saw the great green macaw fly over here, and that's one of the most endangered birds in Latin America. So here's a better view of the reception. So before the women purchased this hotel way back in the day, it was a Victorian era coffee plantation. So that's why you see the white buildings. And of course, this is brand new. This is Casa Gandhi, where they hold yoga lessons and you can get a massage here. I mean, it totally makes you feel like you're in Thailand or something. It's an amazing place to explore. But here's the Lime Beach Club. And this is a wonderful part of the property because they sell lunch and have cocktails at happy hour. Who doesn't like that? But it's right outside of the property. So you scan your key card at a gate, opens up, and it goes down a little trail, and you arrive here. So you can eat at the restaurant. You can eat on the balcony. You can see the trail that goes to the beach. And they've actually added chairs and tables on the beach. So you can order food off a QR code and they'll come bring it right to you. You don't have to move a muscle. It's pretty amazing. So this is one of the amenities of staying at Aguas Claras is you have the option to relax at the restaurant, relax by the pool, or walk down to the beach and relax. So really a place to hang out, and there's a lot of people who go work remotely here or simply just go to escape the world, but there's a lot more to offer. So let me show you the accommodations before I show you the tours. This is a Pavlova Suites. There's 6 of them. They sleep 2 each. There's really amazing outdoor showers here. So the white interior fits the vibe of the hotel. Once you go there, you can notice, but at night there's different colored lights. So it becomes a very magical place, and the outdoor shower is really hard to beat. And aside from the Pavlova Suites, there's the bungalows, and these are the buildings that were originally on the property. These were not. So the Pavlova suites are actually newer, but the bungalows have all been renovated. This one is a Kuo studio bungalow. So it's all one room together, outdoor bathroom, mini fridge, shower. Perfect for a couple who just wants to stay for a few nights. But if they want a little upgrade, here's the Cacao Honeymoon Bungalow. Totally a lot of space inside, very rustic design. Here's one of the 2-bedroom bungalows. So every room is air conditioned. Sorry, I forgot to mention that previously, but you can get the idea. Each bungalow has its own style, has its own space. And so we sometimes get requests from people with groups. And as you can tell, many of our hotels really only accommodate a few people per room. But Casa Floralia at Hotel Aguas Claras is a different story. It can pretty much be in a villa. It's 5 bedrooms, can sleep up to 12. There's a whole entire kitchen, massive fridge. So if you want to go to the grocery store and cook for yourself, that's fine. Or of course, can go to the restaurant. Only breakfast is included for all guests. Lunch and dinner are not. We can price that full board if you'd like to, though. It's no problem. It's just good to know that. And here are a few of the rooms in Casa Floralia. So you got a couple king beds, and then rooms with twin beds, and an additional room with a king bed. So on top of that, there's plenty of experiences at Aguas Claras. So put optional because they're not included, and we can include them prior if you desire. We're working on a full board package with a few tours included right now that will be commissionable to everyone. But for now, the hotel and breakfast and the stay includes a bike and snorkel gear as well. So that's what's commissionable and included right now. So here is Marvin, one of my favorite guides I've met in all of Costa Rica. He'll meet you at the hotel and take you by bike to the mangroves where they have kayaks set up. So you basically arrive at the mangroves, tie up your bike, lock it up, hop on a kayak, and away you go. And after the mangrove, you hop over to the ocean and hike Punta Uva. You can actually kayak through here from the months of September to November. So, and let me backtrack for a second. The high season in Puerto Viejo is actually September to November. That's when you get the most sun and the ocean is the most calm, and that's great for snorkeling. Cojuita National Park is one of the best places in the entire Caribbean to snorkel. And unfortunately, when I was there in January, I wasn't able to because the current was too strong, but that allowed for great surfing. So there's different tours at different times of year at this destination. And there's plenty of national parks to visit, as I mentioned, Cojuita, but also Manzanillo. And this really shows what I was talking about with Puerto Viejo. Beautiful beaches, but you look behind you and it's all jungle. So it's a really cool mix of wildlife and activities. Here's a classic howler monkey. Beginner surfing lessons are available pretty much year round. It just depends on what beach you go to and how the tide is that day. This is a really special experience I always like to mention because it's one of the biggest waterfalls in Costa Rica, and I think the second biggest on the Caribbean side. But the unique thing about it is that you're not hiking there by yourself, and it's not a national park or anything. It's actually a territory that the Cacoldi indigenous tribe acquires. So in order to get there, Marvin and another guide will meet you at the hotel. You basically drive down a street towards Cocles Beach and get dropped off on the side of the road, and you walk across and a Cacoldi tribesman will meet you. You walk up to their house, you get to meet the tribe. It's a really hands-on experience, and yeah, you can't hike to this waterfall unless you're with one of the members. So it's a really special activity. You don't see any cables, you don't see any trash, any other people. It's totally you and nature. So kayaking is another great option, and even expert surfing. And of course, I have to show the Cessna flight. So if you've return to San Jose from Limon, as our itinerary mentioned previously. You're in these kind of small type planes, but it's a fun deal. And it's a lot easier than driving for 4 hours. It's only a 40-minute flight, Limon to San Jose. So for any reason, if travelers don't want to go to Pacuare or it's booked fully, they can't get space, here's another good itinerary, basically just including Tortuga Lodge and Hotel Aguas Claras. This can work really nicely if you fly to Tortuga Lodge from San Jose, and then you can actually drive from La Pavona dock to Aguas Claras. So let me show you a little map. Here's Tortuga Lodge, and remember the boat ride there. So you basically fly from San Jose, get to Tortuga, the opposite of the other itinerary we mentioned, and then instead of flying back to San Jose, boat to La Pavona dock. From La Pavona dock, you go all the way down to Aguas Claras. And yeah, it's a long day. I did this, and the only thing I would recommend is that make sure that you set up a lunch at Siquirres, because after an hour boat ride and being in the vehicle, if you don't eat, getting all the way to Aguas Claras is not the funnest thing, showing up hungry. So set up a little lunch somewhere in Siquirres and then continue on to Aguas Claras. Everybody's happy. It's a cool road trip, especially this stretch right here. It's a really beautiful drive. So that's pretty much all I have for today. And we'll open up for some questions.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Tony. I ended up kind of answering the questions that were asked in the chat directly to it. But yeah, I think just a good way to think about this area is that people are looking for something off the beaten path in Costa Rica. You've kind of got, they want to do whitewater rafting adventure, or they want to do deep wildlife adventure. They can have that element and then combine it with like a chill beach experience in Puerto Viejo, which is culturally, that whole coast is very different. You have a lot of the kind of Afro-Caribbean vibe on the Caribbean coast, which is totally different from the Pacific. It's actually that Puerto Viejo area, and this coast is much more popular with Costa Ricans, from Ticos from San Jose. It's kind of where they go to the beach on the weekends and holidays and stuff. Most of the foreigners seem to congregate to the Pacific coast, but keep this area in mind. And obviously, to book something like this, feel free to book with your preferred DMC in Costa Rica. If you need recommendations, feel free to reach out to us. If you do want to book it directly, if that makes sense for you, you can drop an email to Tony or myself, and we'll put you in touch with the reservation team. And we'll send a follow-up email that has the recording of this webinar, have a copy of the presentation, and then all the sales and marketing links for the properties. And that's it. We call it a wrap, Turn Dog.
Yep, pura vida.
Okay. Thanks, guys, for joining us, and we will be in touch. We'll leave this open just for a couple of minutes if any of you have questions you want to put in the chat pane, but have a good rest of your week.